A very good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our threat detection and response in the age of AI session, Lunch and Learn. We're really stoked to have you here, and we look forward to what's going to be a really enlightening session. I know that we run these security ones potentially every 6 months, but it seems to be an evolving story and not a static one. So worth getting updated, worth keeping abreast of all that's going on. Welcome, Sean from Huntress. Thank you for making the time to present to us today to keep us up to date. And without further ado, I will remind you, you can pop your questions in the chat. We will have a time for question at the end. Otherwise, over to you, Sean, for a great session.
Beautiful. Thank you, Anna. So really happy to be here. I have thrown on a IT department background, but I am from Huntress. Just because we are really strong partners with IT departments, I thought I'd rep them here today. So we're going to talk a little bit about threat detection and response in the age of AI. I'll start off and give you some stats and give you some understanding of what we're seeing out there. And then we're going to go through how we're using AI internally to improve the detection and response for you, get things out quicker, get things out even more accurate. Then I'm going to show you two ways and two cases where we've found threat actors really using AI to speed up their attacks and how they're kind of leveraging it on their side. All right, so we should have some fun today, but please throw those questions in. All right, let's get moving. A little bit about me. So I'm Sean. I am from Huntress. So I'm a technical account manager, ex-SE, ex-help desk person, ex-security persons. I've done a lot of different things. So I've worked with MSPs and small businesses for the last 10 plus years. Before that, I came out of like the enterprise space with like Toyota and PricewaterhouseCoopers and places like that. And I love my dog and I play a lot of golf. All right, so a little bit about me. All right, let's talk about what we're seeing in Huntress APAC. And I really wanted to show you this. So this is the first 4 months of the year. And this is the industries or verticals that we're really seeing under attack. And you can see here financial services is way at the top, right? This isn't just banks or institutions like this. This includes like your mortgage brokers. It includes anybody that's on the side of that finance side of things. So your accountants, like those local people that you are that are going and helping just normal everyday people. Healthcare is a really interesting one because a lot of people think here, yeah, big hospitals, they're under attack. And that's absolutely true. That is true. But what they're not realizing is that these threat actors don't really care. They want your data anyway, because they're going to use that for an identity breach or something like that. So they're going after the local physio, the local chiropractor, sports massage places, right? Anything health adjacent, they're going after there. Dentists are a huge one that we're seeing attacked out there. And the reason is what they can do is once they get on the computer, they can actually take the applications that you're running, they can copy that over to their own machine so they can get that executable. And then they can run that through various different AI tools to find a vulnerability in it. So now they can attack more people, right? So that's where we can really see AI making a difference for the attackers, right? Then you got construction engineering. A really interesting one with this is we're actually seeing that supply chain side of things is a real risk. And think there with your construction and engineering, I think you're mainly looking at, because when you're building a house or you're building a building, you'll have a bunch of subcontractors in there. They're all going to have their own security controls, but they have access to your data, right? Or you have access to their data. So we're really going to make sure that supply chain is really closed up, right? So this is what we're seeing from a threat aspect. And this is APAC. So this is not international. It's international, but APAC region. This is not European numbers. This is not American numbers. This is our region. So we're seeing a lot of credential theft and abuse. So especially the financial services and healthcare orgs, because they have high value data access, right? They have your date of birth, they have your Medicare number, they have your tax file number. all of these things. They might have your passport for like verification. All of those things threat actors are looking for, because then that's how they breach your identity in different ways, right? So they're doing this through phishing and brute force. If you don't know what brute force is they're taking your password, or what we refer to as a dictionary attack. And what they'll do with that, with a dictionary attack, is they'll just have a list of a whole bunch of passwords that have been leaked in the past, and they're just going to keep slamming that against everything. This is why people like myself, the virtual IT department, they are telling you to not reuse passwords, use password managers, because, hey, as soon as one of those passwords get leaked, cool, like we can reset that one, but if we go reset that over a whole bunch of sites, it's going to be a lot more work and things are going to get missed, right? And I can even give you a story here. So I got a call one morning, and you would think inside my family that everybody would be really, really protected. But it was from my brother. He'd had credentials leaked, and through another like third party breach, a site breach, and then he was reusing passwords. So that was my entire morning, was going through and fixing all his accounts, right? So hey, like they've got me on their side, and even they're falling for that kind of stuff, right? Or getting breached in that way. And I always tell people, don't just assume that somewhere one of the websites that you use for anything, generally not your banking, but could be like a music site, could be like a YouTube, anything like that, your credentials have probably been leaked at some point. So the more individual you've got it for all sites, the less of that risk exposure you're going to have. Ransomware precursors. So we see a lot of ransomware staging, and we see a lot of lateral movement. So lateral movement is them moving through your environment to really find and mine for the gold, right? The reception person's computer may not be the highest value. That person might have access to something with the senior director. And something that I'm really worried with AI is, I was speaking to somebody that I go to the dog park with, and he was saying a friend was using an AI to link his and his junior's calendar together in financial services, so it could like read emails and then go, hey, you said you were going to send that on X date, you haven't sent that yet. Yeah, that's great for automating, but it also is a risk. If I breach that junior, now I've got access to that senior's account. I can pivot very quickly. So be very careful with that, or make sure that junior is aware of the risk as well. All right. Construction and manufacturing sectors are at elevated risk, because if they breach one of your supply chain, they're going to try and use that to laterally move into your environment. All right. Business email compromise is still huge. The ACSC says it's the biggest attack out there. What they're doing here is they're trying to phish you and then get into your email account so they can start hiding emails from you. So they'll start hiding things like invoice, payment type stuff. So then they can send out a new invoice with their bank credentials on it. Just a note here, anybody contacting you saying, hey, we've changed our banking, suspicious immediately. Don't call the number on the email, call the number of the person. Don't Google it either, because we can create fake websites and everything. Have somebody's business card that you physically got from them stuck in a book, so you can give that person a phone call. If they're not answering the phone, look, people will accept if something's a bit late. With a payment, yes, they will be upset. However, they would rather get the money than get breached. So until you can actually get in contact with them, don't pay that invoice if you're not sure. All right. And then supply chain exposure is a huge one that we're seeing out there. All right. So how is Huntress using AI to aid detection and response? All right. So we started with automation and agentic AI. So what we did is we didn't want to go full blown, like just pure AI straight away, right? Like that is not going to be effective in beating these threat actors, because AI works to a certain level and then you need humans to come in and check it. So what we did is we looked at what our analysts were doing on a daily basis, investigating certain signals, because threat actors have their own type of playbooks of how they're going to do an attack, right? And it looks the same every time. So we could specify certain workflows and recurring tasks that the analysts perform manually that took a lot of time. And then we could go ahead and pinpoint the high value data points that needed that to speed up our decision making, right? So now when the SOC analyst gets something, it's already pulled like the last 6 hours of processes that have run. They don't have to run that. They don't have to run a report anymore. It's already summarized and in there for them, so they can just go through and look at it. They can pull more information as they need, but it gives them a very high level summary straight away. And then we brought that into an LLM and then made it so it automates gathering and synthesizing that intel just to make it quicker so we can get the threat actor out of there faster. Right? What this did is gave us massive gains on reporting incidents. So what we did is we built a quality control agent, QC agent, so we could look at all our incident reports that we're sending out and then went, how do we get the most technical information in the easiest way to read and the most accurate way to read it to make it easy for virtual IT department to fix that issue for you, right? So we've seen our score go from 62 to 92, really better, and it's sped this up, right? So instead of us having to paste various different email addresses and things in there, it can be automated really, really quickly so we can pull that together and have it out to you even faster than we were before. All right. The other thing we could do is we could look at your Microsoft 365 type stuff where we were like, hey, well, inbox rules and things like rogue applications, so things that are installed into your Microsoft 365, and there's hundreds of apps installed into your Microsoft 365. Every time you have an integration, that's what's happening. So what we can do is we can now look and go, right, we've designed a whole bunch of sub AI agents to go through those and go, hey, this is definitely a bad inbox rule. It means that the SOC isn't spending a lot of time digging into that. They can get it thrown at them straight away, where the sub agent goes, I'm 99% sure this is malicious. And then the human in the loop can just quickly confirm that, go, yep, you are right, AI. Go ahead, send the report. So this is taking it from that could sit there for a couple of minutes down to like under a minute, right? Very quickly get the threat actor out of there quick and get you all sorted. We keep the human in the loop because AI isn't perfect, same as humans aren't perfect, but together you make a really good team to reduce those false negatives, reduce those false positives, and just keep you protected. So that's how we're using AI in our SOC. All right, let's talk about visibility gaps. All right, so a lot of people will sit there and go, why do I need a SIM or a SIEM, however you prefer to say it? SIEM is where we do a whole lot of logging, right? And people will go, well, am I not protected with my endpoint detection response? You are absolutely protected with your endpoint detection response, but this will show you how SIEM can come and deliver more, right? So this is your standard attack chain. This is what a threat actor is generally trying to do. They'll do some sort of like malicious VPN type login or get in through an external system. They'll then brute force within that environment to find the highest level of credentials they can get, executive level, administrator level. That's what they're trying to get. Once they've got that, they'll use that to move through the environment. That mining for gold we were talking about previously, and then they'll do a scheduled task. What persistence is me trying to get a hook into your machine. So when you reboot your machine, when the computer fires up again, my task runs and I've got access to your computer again. It's how I stay in your environment. They're going to do some data leaks and stuff in there, but then they're going to do ransomware execution because threat actors like to get paid twice these days. They don't want to get paid once, they're over that. They want to get paid twice. They want to get paid for deleting the data that they've already leaked, and then they want to ransomware you, right? So you pay them to get the data back or pay them to delete the data that they've stolen, and then you pay them to unlock your computer. Right? This is why backups and all these tools are really important in there. So what this will do is this will show you how we get this data in. So malicious VPN logs come from your firewalls. Firewalls still super important. They come from VPN logs. Your brute force, everything that happens on your Windows computer gets logged into the Windows event logs. So brute force comes from there. The RDP lateral movement, so moving through the environment, actually comes from the Windows events as well. The scheduled tasks, so when you run like Word.exe or you open Outlook or you open Chrome or Firefox or Brave or whatever browser that you're using, that's a process running. So that's a process event. And then ransomware execution is process events. So if you just have EDR, we can see it when the threat actor starts doing this stuff. But this could have happened hours earlier. So with getting this stuff in and having a SIEM, we're going to see this information a lot earlier and be able to get the threat actor out of there. We're still going to be able to protect you here, but this is going to make it easier for everyone if we get them out here. Okay, so let's talk about how threat actors are using AI. So this was something that we do here at Huntress, where it's called a rapid response. All right, when we see something going on out there that's like a new novel style attack that we haven't seen before, or like a tweak on an attack, we go into what's referred to as rapid response. They're great to watch internally. It's very, very fascinating. A lot of very, very smart people. But this is shutting down an active phishing campaign, right? So don't ask us how we got this. But this, if you've ever heard of Telegram, this is a group called Evil Tokens. They're a phishing as a service group. So they build phishing infrastructure to people to go and attack you from. So we actually found their Telegram shop. And you come in here and you put the little card and type shop, and then it shows you their digital products. So they've got this Evil Tokens business to business sender. So you can see version 0.1, it's $600, and this is USD. The Office 365 capture link. This is stealing your session token. So stealing your credentials and stealing like your MFA token. So they can just log in with that. And then the SMTP sender is just a sender so they can send email from it, right? And we'll talk a little bit about more about that, right? So that's their actual digital store. If we look at this, this is their actual admin center. So when you buy the product, this is what you get. And this should look familiar if you've logged into any back end of anything that you've kind of bought. There's a dashboard here. There's captured tokens. They can create more users for this. They can go and put keyword alerts in. They can do this AI analysis. So they use AI here to pull some stuff. They've got a whole bunch of templates already built for them. They've got webmail to send it out from, and they've got a user portal. So how they're actually using AI in this is what they were doing is, if you can see this org branded here, I do apologize, this is a little bit blurry, but this org branded here, what they could do using AI is they could go and pull your website's branding using AI and plug it in here. So when they used their template, and the template here that they were using was a OneDrive shared document, it then had your logo on it, right? And the really smart thing they were doing with this, they were also using LLMs to write the different emails. So they would use AI analysis and go, how would I actually fish this type of business successfully? The AI could go and look at your LinkedIn, it could go and look at your website, and it could pull a whole bunch of information about you and then tailor an email that was specific to you. So it became very hard for security vendors to find this, especially like your mail filtering and your detection response, because what happens is we work off patterns generally, and mail filters do this, and they're very good at it. They're better at detecting AI now, but what they can do is if I tailor this, the mail filter goes, oh, that's different enough. So it only scores like 75% suspicious. So maybe we let that through. right? The different places will have different thresholds. So you definitely want to make sure that you're not really revealing too much information on there, right? And then they have like your redirect URLs. And what they were doing here is they were actually using something called device code phishing. So if you ever get an email from Microsoft, and it will come from Microsoft saying, hey, there's this code, here's this code to enter, or hey, can you log in on this? Just no, because the code has been generated by the threat actor. They've used your email address because they've guessed it from your domain versus information that's out there. Uh, and then they generate the code on their side. They send it to you. You plug that code into Microsoft. You log in, and it actually logs in on their computer. It's how we do things like Teams rooms and printers and stuff with Microsoft 365. So we stopped this from happening. We stopped a couple of hundred businesses from getting breached. But yeah, it's a real clever way of using AI to really scale this, but at least change it so it's different every time to avoid filters and avoid detection. Very, very smart. Um, all right, so this is a very, very fun story for us, but a threat actor once made a mistake last year, which gave us a very good look inside how they do things, right? So the threat actor on their own computer went to Google and typed in Bitdefender, all right? At this point, we got some people who are pretty good at SEO. So Huntress came up, and this threat actor went, Huntress sounds interesting. Let me go and look at Huntress because they were trying to figure out how to get around Bitdefender. Obviously, their target was somebody who had Bitdefender, but they thought, let's see if I can work out how to get around Huntress. So they actually signed up for a trial with us and then install our agent, which was a very bad idea. So we can do things when we're doing an investigation. We can do things like pull browser history. Now, we're not doing this all the time. We're only doing it when dodgy signals come up on our side. And because this was a threat actor, they had a bunch of tools that flag immediately as detections on our side. So we started investigating because we were like, wow, this lit up like a Christmas tree. So we can see here they Googled Bitdefender, then they Googled Huntress versus Bitdefender, then they went start your Huntress trial, then they got into the console and they installed the agent, right? So we got heaps of antivirus alerts, heaps of indicators of compromise. So we started looking at this. And then we started looking and going, all right, we can see them attempting to compromise victim accounts. We can see them interacting with compromised session tokens, victim credentials, and it actually matched a host name we'd seen, so a computer name that we'd seen in the past. So we actually knew who this person was, right? For some reason, threat actors do not rename their machine, which is very, very interesting. But yeah. And then we uninstalled the agent. We got them out of there because we don't want them messing with our agent. But here's how they were using AI. So they're using make.com, legitimate website, right? Really good for building agentic AI workflows. They use Toolbaz AI for writing assistance. They used DocBots AI for CSV generation, and they used Explo AI for data generation, right? So this is how they're doing this. They're not just saying to AI, hey, go and attack this person because you can't get AI to do that. I can tell you how to get AI to write malware, but I'm not going to. But this is where they go and do it, right? So they're signing up for Make Automation software and then they're doing a Telegram bot integration. But if you just look at some of these Googles, you're not always up against like the nation state threat actors. You're really up against people that are just trying to use tools and just trying to get some money, right? They're not high level hackers. This person's actually like, how do I do an introduction for developers with bots and webhooks? They don't know how to do some of this stuff. So they're Googling a lot of this stuff. They're using Make here to integrate with the CSV to pull a whole bunch of the data across to then start doing this. And they're actually attacking people in Colombia. So they were attacking people's banks in Bogota. right? So they were having to Google Translate to translate out of their own language and using AI to do that to put it into the correct Spanish language. All right, these are the different things they were using to attack. So they're using Evil Jinx, which I can send the virtual IT department a 3-minute video that walks you through exactly how that tool works, showing me stealing credentials. They used Graph Spy to get some more details from Microsoft 365. They used team filtration to start backdooring things, and they used residential proxy services. So I think that's like a jump box or a VPN. So it looks like they're coming from a certain country, not their own home country, because a lot of detection stuff will pick up, hey, this person's in insert dodgy country, Ukraine, North Korea, places like that where we see a lot of the attacks from Russia. Then the interesting one. So it is a full-time job, right? This is the hours that they are working every day. So you can see here, this was like mid last year. This must be a weekend. I'd have to check it. But they are legitimately working 8 to 12 hours a day, like 6 to 12 hours a day. This is what you're up against, right? And we actually find most of your attacks be really vigilant around late afternoon into early evening. Ideally, please put your email and your phone away when you're doing having dinner or spending time with your family, because that's when we're seeing a lot of the attacks. So we're seeing them from about 4 p.m. Sydney time, like East Coast time, up until like 7, 8, 9, 10. Like in that period, we see a real peak of attacks just as they start coming online for the morning, right? They've done their prep, they've had their coffee, they know who they're going to attack. So 5 p.m. they start attacking. And that's when, hey, you can be a bit tired from the day. You could be dealing with your kids might be sick, you might be dealing with a partner, right? Like this is like key. Be very vigilant around those times or emails that come in around those times, because we are finding a lot of the attacks happening there. So with that, we'll open it up for questions.
That's fantastic, Sean. Thank you so much. I
No
feel
worries.
if I could just be as efficient and utilize AI as well as some of these attackers, I would revolutionize how I work. It's quite astronomical.
They're
I
very
haven't got
good at
any.
it.
They're very good at it. I haven't got any questions in the chat, but something that occurred to me just while you were speaking is that's a lot of information. How does a tool, we hear a lot of acronyms like SOC, SIEM, ITDR. How do these tools actually stop an attack when we do click on that link at 5 o'clock? So we were half distracted and we thought it looked legitimate. And what happens? What flare goes up? What is the chain of response there? And does
Yeah,
Huntress indeed actually protect us? And is it enough? Because we've got a lot on the fear side of the scales at the moment. It's good to know
yeah, yeah.
what's on the but you're okay side.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you have tools like us. So what happens is, let's say you click a link, and it'll depend what the attack is, but let's say they're trying to steal your Microsoft 365 credentials. If you click on a link and it's going to that site, Evil Jinx, that I was talking about, we'll be able to see and go, this domain does not match the normal Microsoft domain. You've gone to a phishing site, you've put your credentials in, you're in danger. At that point, a critical signal comes through to us. Our SOC with the agentic AI will run through a lot of the workflows and go, hey, this is the site they visited. They put their credentials in here. And then we can sit there and go, okay, human verify it. Yep, that's exactly right. We will then isolate the account, which means we will revoke every login. So we'll expire every login. So it kicks everybody out. So unfortunately, you will have to log in again on your phone. But then we also disable the account for you. If we see something on your endpoint where like they're trying to steal credentials, they're doing info steal or trying to steal data or laterally moving, we will isolate that computer, maybe a couple of other computers from the network to say, hey, we need to lock these down so they can't connect to the internet. And then we'll alert virtual IT department. In both those cases, a phone call goes to virtual IT department to let them know, hey, this is what we've seen. We provide a full written report of everything that we've seen, as well as remediation steps to help them clean up. And at certain times, we've already run those remediation steps for you. So all the virtual IT department has to do is check them, confirm everything's good, touch base with you and go, hey, we just need to reset your password here, and then you'll be good to go. So it's a very quick process, and we work around the clock 24/7. We're very smart with it that we don't want people working a graveyard shift because we don't think people work effective at that time. So we have people in Australia, people in the UK, and people in the US. Probably the luckiest one is the couple of people in Hawaii working the bridge shift to make sure everybody's at their sharpest during that time to protect you. So the products are there to give us signals, and then the SOC is there to investigate those signals for you. But then on the side, we also have specialized threat hunters when a signal doesn't come up, because threat actors are trying new things all the time. So they're just grabbing all of the data from all of the products and going, what's that threat over there? Let me pull on that. Oh, that's interesting. And that's how we find those rapid response type ones.
Yeah, fantastic. And we're definitely seeing, even in our own client base, an increase of links clicked that just looked really valid and quick isolation and response, which
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you think if that tool wasn't in place, if this team wasn't in place, what would be the outcome of that for a business? It can be really critical.
Yeah.
Jill, I can see you're writing something. I know we've hit time. If you've got to run to your next meeting, I really respect that. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found it insightful. We're always here to have the conversation. We are incredibly passionate about keeping all of our clients safe and making sure that you have access to help when and if you need it in a really timely manner. A reminder that we do have a cyber line on our phone. So if you ever have a concern that you might have clicked a link, that something might have happened in your organization, you can click 4 when you get to the prompts and jump to the straight to the front of the queue and make sure that you do get attended to. Those who want to stay around to hear the answer to the question, though, I will ask this one because it is a good question.
Ooh.
Sean, Jill is curious as to how you do vet your own staff. It's a reasonable question, as often the most fraudulent activity comes from the inside, for example, such as banks. Good
Yeah,
question,
so
Jill.
it's a great question. So, yes, I have been through many police checks. We run a lot of our own detection and response on things internally here. So, yeah, we're constantly very vigilant about that. We're constantly going through and checking permissions, and we also run a whole bunch of penetration tests every few months against
Yeah.
ourselves with external people. So we also have external vendors that come in and audit the security controls that we have to
Mm.
maintain that. So yeah, to even get access to some things, like I have a lot of access. I don't have full access. As an example, I don't have full administrator to my own machine. So we have an IT department for that because they do know what I can do. So yes, it's very much like we have to go through full police checks. There's consistent monitoring on our machines.
Mm.
One thing that we can do for you, if you are worried about insider threats in your own business, if you actually have the ITDR product, reach out to Anna and the team. Just give us the email address, and what I can do is, because with ITDR we are keeping your Microsoft 365 logs for a year, so they just go into the SIEM as no cost. I can actually write a query that shows me all activity across email,
Mm.
SharePoint, and OneDrive for you. It's no extra cost on top. I can just get it sent to the IT department like daily, so you can kind of see an audit track of that. So if there is somebody in your business that you are worried about,
Concerned. Yeah.
please touch base, and yeah, we can definitely do that for you to make sure that, because when you're thinking, "Ooh, is Sean gonna leave the company?" You kind of want to know what has Sean been accessing
And that's
recently.
something like even in our own exit process, we enable heightened monitoring as soon as someone resigns because it is a risky period. For anyone who does have the security product that we do sell, we added ITDR at no cost as soon as it was available because we are big believers in embracing the security up front as opposed to wishing we had it later. So you will automatically have that. And if you do have a query, yes, please let us know and we'll be able to work with you to get those logs.